manage both then? He is understanding, but how can you manage both and be successful in both? What advice would you give to a young woman who is working and she has a family and children and so on?
Well, first of all is being able to build a very successful business structure whereby it doesn't depend solely on you. So being able to delegate the work that needs to be done to various people and being able to train these people to delivering these tasks when you're not around, so that you can also take a part of your time to fulfill your domestic tasks. But also, you know, it's a sense. It's almost like you have to play it by ear a little bit. You have to go to work and see if this doesn't really help with the house, then, you know, make that a little bit less. It really depends also on your priorities. What are your priorities? Do you really want to achieve certain goals? Then you're going to have to put a few things on hold. You can't really balance it 100%, but there is a middle ground to everything. And this is why I come and tell you, if you marry a good man, it will always be very helpful.
This is the key.
Yeah, a tolerant man will always be a good factor for you.
Right. There is the Cairo University Women's Movement.
Yes.
You are a member in this movement.
Yes, I was asked to actually join another panel. And like you said, you know, post-revolution, there have been a lot of, you know, different movements encouraging and empowering women to enter the professional world. I joined this panel and I was speaking on the behalf of, you know, women entrepreneurs. I was telling students at Cairo University, female students especially, that they have the option to build their careers and that they do not have to graduate from the university and go sit at home, that they can actually fulfill their dreams without losing out on their social demands as well. So that was mainly, I was exactly what I'm telling you, I was saying it to them.
How was this movement formed and what is the main goal behind this?
Well, the movement was, you know, the movement was well received to a certain extent, but it wasn't also penetrating everyone's ears, if you know what I mean. So basically, most of the people sitting in the summit or in the panel were still unaware of the importance of a woman's role in the career. So basically what happened is we ended up having to get a lot of questions from the students, and they were asking very strange questions such as how is your husband okay with you working? How is your husband okay with you, you know, running a business? How do you leave your child all this time and go and, you know, manage your business? So I had a bit of a problem with this panel, but you know, I tried. The idea of having these panels and having these movements is to open a dialogue with the students, and there are a lot of intelligent women in Egypt who deserve a chance, I believe.
Right. Before going into more details about this movement, we're going to go for a short break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
The Rise Up Summit Conference took a session to ask what are the challenges that are facing women in entrepreneurship. The female representation at Rise Up seems strong without knowing the statistics on speakers, entrepreneurs and such. The 5 women on the panel for the session were entrepreneurs, investors, or had long worked on entrepreneurial promotion. With this kind of diversity of perspective, the session discussed the kind of gender differences that exist between women and men in the way they approach business and perhaps life, not just the specific challenges that female entrepreneurs may face. Gender differences between men and women are stubbornly persistent when it comes to market work in general. There are large differences in the participation in labor market, the types of occupation men and women choose, and the incomes they receive for the same work. These gender differences are greater in the Middle East and North Africa than anywhere else in the world. This is costly to everyone. Egypt's GDP would increase 54% if Egyptian women's participation in the labor market was that of males, for instance. It has long made sense to encourage more women to work. Welcome back, and once again I would like to welcome my guest Nairouz Abu Zaid, woman activist.
Thank you.
Nairouz, would you please tell me more about the women movement of the youth and how was your experience with them at the Cairo University?
My experience with them was actually, for me, very, very interesting because I learned a lot about our culture in terms of what they think women should be doing after they graduate or what they should be doing with their education. And I felt there was a very big split between women who are really, really anxious to start their career and then women who just want to get married. And one of the advices which I controversially gave was you cannot really have a healthy domestic life unless you are personally achieved. You cannot start a life with someone else unless you are personally confident with who you are. And this confidence you will mostly gain through creating and through being in the professional sphere. So that was one thing I said, and some accepted it and some didn't agree with me.
Right, Nairouz, there is some statistics here that we heard in the report that Egypt's GDP would increase by 34% if Egyptian women's participation in the labor market was that of males, for instance. What's your opinion? How would you see this?
I could ask you the same question. I think we both know that women are very, 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 very important for the professional sphere. It is inevitable that Egypt's GDP would actually increase. It's a natural thing. Women are very good at what they do. We have seen recently, especially, we have seen how many women have been running companies and how successful these companies have become over the years, and what a great relationship they have with their teams. That does not mean that the male counterparts are not as good, but I think the importance in a society is being able to balance the efforts of both the man and the woman. Together, I think you can build a very healthy society. Anything less than that is unbalanced.
Right. In your opinion, how can we make the regular Egyptian woman aware of what to do to contribute to her society and how to do it and when to do it?
As we were speaking earlier, I think the most important thing is for women such as us and women who are in the professional sphere become role models and go and share their experiences with women who are not yet, who have not yet entered the market, if you may. So I think the important thing is for us to become role models, and then that would be the first step to women's movement.
What advice would you give to a young woman who is just starting her career?
To have a lot of confidence and to believe in what she does. To never, ever take into consideration gender differences. In fact, to think very carefully before making a differentiation between women and men, to actually believe that she is equal, and especially to understand the strengths that she has over the man, which is aesthetics and an eloquence in talking. Women are much more convincing. I know you know that.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, that would be my advice. It's a lot of advices, sorry.
Right. So you've been living in Italy for a long time, and you've been brought there, and This is a totally different society. It's the European society. How would you compare an Egyptian woman to an Italian woman or to a European woman?
Actually, interestingly, I think Egyptian women are amongst the strongest women in the world. They are very, very intelligent, and when they want something, and we know this, whether you're watching TV or just reading the news, women can really get away with a lot, you know, in Egypt, and they have a power of managing many people. They have an influence. They're very influential as characters. So I think in comparison to European women, I think Egyptian women have a charisma,
right?
That you just pick up. You know, even if you're like at an airport and you look, you know this woman is Egyptian. She has a charisma. She has something about her. But unfortunately, you know, with everything that we've been going through, the economic, you know, disruption and the political situation that we've been going through, I think everyone's just demoralized temporarily. I think, but in general. I would always vote for the Egyptian woman, even if I lived for a very long time.
When it comes to the rights of women, do you think the European women have taken more rights than the Egyptian women?
Well, yes and no, actually. You know, because you see, outside of Egypt, women are also being used as objects, you know, to a certain extent. You know, if you look at the advertisement outside of Egypt, if you look at global advertisement, you'll see a lot of women being still positioned as the seductive, you know, the one who sells a certain product, and she's not even relevant to the product. They're always using a woman as an object. So really, I don't see much progress happening worldwide. What's happened, though, is that the men have sort of understood the equality that women have achieved over time and are okay with it, and have a culture of sort of, they've become slightly lazier, maybe, and allowing for the woman to take control. The men, the Arab man by default, is very, you know, is very, very macho and still wants to be the one who pays and still wants to be the one who opens the door, you know, and so on and so forth. We see a lot of double standards.